Quest's presentation, How to Complete the FAFSA. I'm Reagan Anson with Education Quest, and tonight I'm once again joined by our college planning specialist, Jackie Butler, who has helped literally thousands of students complete the FAFSA. Jackie, thanks for being here to walk us through the financial aid application.
Well, thanks for having me again, Reagan.
Yeah, before we get started, I wanted to let our viewers know that we're once again going to give away either an insulated coffee mug or an insulated Education Quest water bottle. Winner's choice. We're putting a link in the comments right now. My personal favorite is the coffee mug. Use it all day, every day. We're going to put a link in the comments. So go ahead and simply click on the link and register to win. We'll announce the winner at the end of the presentation tonight. So be sure to stay tuned. Also, we're going to have a big announcement related to a scholarship that those viewing this broadcast tonight will be eligible for first because you're tuned in. So stay tuned to the end of the presentation to get that information. And please be sure to post any questions you have in the comments as we go. We don't want you to wait till the end of the presentation because we don't want you to forget. So go ahead and make sure you're posting those as the presentation continues. And with that, let's go ahead and dig into our content. Tonight, we're going to provide a quick overview of the FAFSA, which of course stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's how students apply for federal, state, and college-based financial aid, including grants, work study, scholarships, and student loans. So for the purpose of our discussion tonight, and so that the information applies to as broad an audience as possible, we're going to assume that we're talking about a typical high school senior who lives at home and will attend college a year from now. Jackie, let's get started by talking a little bit about the items that students and parents will need to gather in advance in order to complete the FAFSA. Can you give us some details?
Sure. So before you begin the FAFSA, you'll want to create that student aid account. Keep in mind that you'll need a student aid account for the student that we're completing the FAFSA for and for one custodial parent. If you haven't already created that account, you'll need to go to studentaid.gov. You'll also need federal income tax returns and the W-2s for 2021. The current value of checking and savings account balances, any investment values such as stocks, savings bonds, CDs, etc. And then if you have any investment properties, so you don't have to report the value of your primary home, but if you have a second home, a rental home, cabin at the lake, something like that, you'll need to report the value minus debt. For a complete list of the items needed to fill out the FAFSA, refer to our FAFSA checklist for 23-24, and that's on educationquest.org. We will put that link in the comments section.
That's a great reminder, Jackie, because this is the application for students going to college next fall. So it's the 23-24. Be sure you're paying attention to that when you get to studentaid.gov. Before we delve into specifics about the form itself, can we talk a little bit about how farms and businesses get reported on the form? First, let's focus on farm families. What do they need to report on the FAFSA?
Good question, Reagan. So for farming, if you live on the farm, you operate the farm, and it is your main source of income, you do not have to report anything that is involved in that farming operation. If you have pasture ground or farm ground that you rent out to someone else, or you're a member of a family farming partnership or corporation, and you do not actively participate in running the farm, then you will have to report your portion of that farming operation.
That's great. So what about families who own a business? How is that treated on the FAFSA?
Okay, so the business, if you own 50% or more of the business, you have less than 100 full-time employees, and you actively participate in the operation of the business, you do not have to report that business on the FAFSA.
That's great. Thanks for that information. It's helpful to have a better understanding of those particular circumstances because we know they occur a lot in Nebraska. So let's move on to talking about the form itself. The first step you mentioned is for the student and a parent to each create an account at studentaid.gov. Once that's complete and you're logged in, the first section covers student demographics. So what can applicants expect?
Okay, so on the student, well, first of all, you want to select, I guess most importantly, you want to select the correct tab. So you want to select the 23-24 academic year because that's what we're focusing on right now. Keep in mind that this is the student's FAFSA. So anytime you see you or the word you or your, that is referring to the student. The student demographic information, once you log in with the student's username and password or their student aid account, it will pre-populate all of the demographic information for the student, and then you'll need to complete any empty fields. If you're confused when you're completing the FAFSA, there's always a little circle icon with a question mark in the middle. You can click on that for further explanation.
Good to know. That section seems pretty easy. The next section focuses on schools. Jackie, what's covered in that section?
So now you're going to add the high school where the student will receive their high school diploma. And just some advice, I would not try to enter the name of the high school. You'll select the state where the high school is located, type in the name of the city, and then hit the search bar. That is the easiest way to find that high school. You'll select that high school and then advance. And then it will ask you to list the colleges that the student wants their FAFSA to be sent to. So you can enter or list up to 10 colleges at one time. Again, I would do the same thing. If you don't know their 6-digit federal school code, I would enter the state and the city, and then you can find the college that way. Keep in mind that the student must have applied for admission and been accepted to those institutions in order to receive an offer of financial aid. So whether they've applied before they fill out the FAFSA or shortly after they complete the FAFSA, they just want to make sure and apply for admission to those colleges. Each college that you select, you will have to choose a college plan, or excuse me, a housing plan as well. So whether the student plans to live on campus, off campus, or with parent, they'll need to select one of those choices for each college listed.
Okay, so the third section asks a series of questions that will determine if a student is dependent or independent. Dependent students have to include parent information on the FAFSA. Is it fair to say that most seniors will likely need to include parent information?
That's correct, Reagan. Yes. So in a nutshell, if a student is under age 24, they will have to provide parental information on the FAFSA. Unless, so they're considered a dependent student, unless the student is married as of the day they're filling out the FAFSA, if they are a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces or currently serving on active duty for purposes other than training, if the student has a child of their own or a dependent, and they are providing more than 50% of the support for that child or dependent, or if the student is homeless as determined by a school liaison, a director of a homeless shelter or something like that, or if the student is an orphan, ward of the court, in foster care, or is under legal guardianship of someone other than a parent, then the student would be considered independent and would not have to provide parent information on the FAFSA.
Okay, great. So the fourth section focuses on parent income and asset information. Depending on the parent's marital status, whose information is included on the FAFSA?
Okay, so if parents are married, of course, both parents' information is included on the FAFSA. If parents are in a divorced or separated situation, it will be the parent with whom the student has lived with most in the last 12 months. So once you determine that parent, then you ask, as of the day you're completing the FAFSA, is that parent remarried? If that is the situation, if the parent is remarried, they will have to include that new spouse's information on the FAFSA form. If both biological parents are living together but just had never married, both parents will have to provide information on the FAFSA. Sometimes family situations are complicated. So, if that's the case and you're not certain or you can't kind of sort through that, give our office a call and we'll help you determine which parent's information needs to be provided.
Absolutely. So now we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty of the FAFSA, right? Where we start adding financial information. So, what can students and parents expect to see in this next section?
Okay, so you can expect to, number one, transfer parents' tax information from the IRS. So there is a tool embedded in the FAFSA form called an IRS data retrieval tool. So when they get to the parent section where they're going to report parent income and asset information, they can use the IRS data retrieval tool to pull their taxes over electronically. In some cases, you're not able to use that tool if marital status has changed recently, or your personal information has been stolen, your identity has been stolen. Situations like that, you may not be able to use that data retrieval tool, and then you just enter your information manually. You will still need to have your 2021 tax information, federal tax information, and W-2s in front of you, because there is some information that we do still need to manually enter and break down. So wages earned by each parent or each individual, some federal benefits, and some other untaxed income. Generally, parents' assets must be reported. More often than not, parents' assets must be reported. And once you get the parents section done, you will then move on to the student income and assets section, which is set up the same as the parents.
That's great information, Jackie. So we're basically at the final section now. So in that section, the student and parent sign and submit the FAFSA. What happens after that?
So once you hit submit on the FAFSA, you're going to see a confirmation page. That confirmation page indicates if the student qualifies for a Pell Grant. It will list an estimated amount that the student can borrow in federal student loans. In 3 to 5 days after you hit submit on the FAFSA, the student will receive an email from Federal Student Aid. That email contains a link to the FAFSA, it contains a link to the student aid report, which summarizes the information that was supplied on the FAFSA. That student aid report is also sometimes used for some need-based scholarships. So, keep that email just in case you need it for follow-up.
Yeah, pay attention to your email, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Jackie. So it's obvious you've completed a lot of FAFSAs over the years, and you've provided us some great information. I think our audience actually has some questions. So if you're up for it, let's take a few, shall we? Let's see here. First question. Are you able to save what you enter in the FAFSA and come back to it at a later date to continue working on it?
Absolutely. So the information that you enter today will save for 45 days on the FAFSA form. So it will have you create a save key. It doesn't have to be anything technical, but once you start the FAFSA, you'll notice it's going to have you enter a save key. And that save key is put in place for that exact reason. If you don't complete the FAFSA in one sitting, you're the only person who knows that save key, and you can go back and pick up where you left off.
Great. Another question we had come in, is it okay to complete the FAFSA before applying to colleges?
You know what? It is. It is fine. Most colleges, and especially if you're filling out the FAFSA early now, most colleges don't start processing that financial aid until about December. That doesn't mean to wait till December to fill it out. You want to fill it out as soon as possible. But yeah, you can go ahead and apply to colleges after. Some students, some colleges come on the radar late, and so you can always go back and add those colleges. And you can always apply for admission to those colleges after the fact.
Great. Another question we have from an audience member: if you have 2 students in college next fall, does each student fill out the FAFSA and our parent information?
Very good question. Yes. You are filling out a FAFSA for each individual student. So if you have 2 students, you're filling out 2 FAFSAs. And if you have more than that, you're filling out more FAFSAs. So
yes, everybody needs one.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we have another question coming in. I'm just waiting for it to come through here. Let's hold on one second. My student is currently a college junior. Do I need to fill this out again now?
Yes, so you're filling the FAFSA out almost a year in advance. So if your student will be in college in the 23-24 academic year, you'll want to fill out a FAFSA for that year. So you can fill it out now for the 23-24 academic year. That student being a junior, they've got another year of college left. So yes, you will be filling another one out.
Right. I think a lot of people forget every year you're in college, you have to do the FAFSA if you want financial
right.
aid. So it's important to remember that. And so thanks, Jackie. So, and thanks to our audience for some great questions tonight. If we didn't get to yours, or if you have a special situation that you think might require some additional guidance, don't hesitate to give our office a call tomorrow and we'll help you personally through it.
Please do.
Yes, that's what we're here for. But before we wrap up and get to our prize drawing, I want to remind our audience that the very best way to stay up to date with everything college related is to follow Education Quest on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And the coolest part about following us on social is you'll have chances to win $500 Get Social scholarships. And you do this by simply liking our page or following us or subscribing, depending on the platform. We're actually in the process right now of awarding a $500 scholarship to a lucky Twitter follower. And the big news that I've been waiting to announce since we started this, Jackie, is that you could be next. The people tuning in tonight can be next to win a $500 scholarship because we reached over 10,000 likes on Facebook today. So we're going to award another Get Social scholarship. So exciting. So we're going to put a link to apply to that in the comments right now so you can enter to win. And this isn't going to be available to anyone else until tomorrow morning. So our audience tonight's the first to know. Super cool. And we're actually only a few subscribers also away from giving away a scholarship on our YouTube channel. So go to our YouTube channel, subscribe now. We could hit that threshold tomorrow and be giving another scholarship away this weekend. So be sure to check that out and make that happen.
Sounds like a pretty easy way to earn some scholarship money.
It's maybe the easiest scholarship application anyone will ever have ever. So be sure to do it. And it's super fun for us to give that away. And then sign up for Countdown to College. So Countdown to College is our monthly e-newsletter that we use to help keep students and parents up to date on all the important deadlines that you need to know about. And we'll give you some great advice on everything related to college planning. That link is going in the comments right now. There's a lot of links happening right there, but it's everything you need to know is right there. And don't hesitate to contact Education Quest and make an appointment for our free services. We offer everything we do is free. Call us and we'll help you with your questions. Visit educationquest.org for location information, phone numbers, and more. It's all there, educationquest.org. And finally, don't forget to mark your calendars for our next live stream, which will happen on November 2nd at 7 p.m. right here on Facebook and Facebook and YouTube. And our focus for that will be what happens after you complete the FAFSA. So I think we are ready to announce a winner. If we have a winner for our mug drawing, if not, we may need to reach out to them later. We'll reach out via email with details. But just want to thank you again, Jackie, for sharing your expertise and your helpful tips. And I want to thank all of our audience members for joining us tonight. And we'll see everyone right back here on November 2nd. So take care.
Bye.